Hello, this is Phil Thatch with SEC Football Forecast, and starting in 2024, Oklahoma and Texas will be joining the Southeastern Conference. Every team will play 8 Southeastern Conference games, and they just announced who everyone's opponents will be in 2024, and I have those for you right now. We're going to do this in reverse alphabetical order, starting with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt will have home games against South Carolina, newcomer Texas, Tennessee, and a very difficult game against Alabama. On the road, they'll face Missouri, Auburn, the University of Kentucky, and LSU. Next up, it's Texas A&M, who will have home games against newcomer Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, LSU, and then on the road, they'll have South Carolina, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida. Next up, it's Texas, the newcomer, one of the newcomers, and they'll be facing at home Kentucky, Mississippi State, the Georgia Bulldogs, and the Florida Gators. On the road, they'll face Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, which will be at a neutral site, and Arkansas. Next, we have the Tennessee Volunteers, who will face at home Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Alabama, and on the road, they'll face Georgia, Vanderbilt, newcomer Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Next, we have the South Carolina Gamecocks, who will face at home LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, and Texas A&M. They'll have road games at Kentucky, Vanderbilt, newcomer Oklahoma, and Alabama. Moving right along, we have Ole Miss, who will have home games against Georgia, Kentucky, newcomer Oklahoma, and Mississippi State. On the road, they'll face South Carolina, Florida, LSU, and the Arkansas Razorbacks. And now it's time for the other newcomer, Oklahoma. They'll face Alabama, newcomer Texas, South Carolina, and Tennessee at home. The Texas game is at a neutral site in Dallas. On the road, they'll face Auburn, Missouri, Ole Miss, and LSU. And now it's time for the Missouri Tigers, who will face at home Arkansas, Auburn, Vanderbilt, newcomer Oklahoma. On the road, they'll face Mississippi State, Texas A&M, South Carolina, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And now it's time for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. At home, they'll face Missouri, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and the Florida Gators. On the road, they'll face the Georgia Bulldogs, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and newcomer Texas. And now it's time for the Louisiana State University. They'll face at home Vanderbilt, Alabama, newcomer Oklahoma, and the Ole Miss Rebels. On the road, they'll face Texas A&M, the Florida Gators, Arkansas, and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Next up, it's the Kentucky Wildcats. They'll face at home the Georgia Bulldogs, South Carolina, Auburn, and Vanderbilt. On the road, they'll face the Florida Gators, Tennessee, newcomer Texas, and the Ole Miss Rebels. And now it's time for the Georgia Bulldogs. At home, they'll face Florida, but that one's at a neutral site. Also at home, they'll have Auburn, Tennessee, and the Ole Miss Rebels. On the road, they'll play the Mississippi State Bulldogs, the Kentucky Wildcats, Alabama, and newcomer Texas. And now it's time for the Florida Gators. At home, they'll face Texas A&M, Kentucky, LSU, and Ole Miss. On the road, they'll face Tennessee, the Georgia Bulldogs at a neutral site, newcomer Texas, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And now it's time for the Auburn Tigers. At home, they'll face Arkansas, Vanderbilt, newcomer Oklahoma, and the Texas A&M Aggies. On the road, they'll face Missouri, Kentucky, the Georgia Bulldogs, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Next up, it's the Arkansas Razorbacks. At home, they'll face Tennessee, the LSU Tigers, Ole Miss Rebels, and newcomer Texas. On the road, they'll face Texas A&M, the Auburn Tigers, the Missouri Tigers, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And last but not least, it's the Alabama Crimson Tide. At home, they'll face the University of Auburn, big game against the Georgia Bulldogs, South Carolina Gamecocks, and Missouri. On the road, they'll head to Tennessee, they'll play Vanderbilt, they'll play newcomer Oklahoma, and LSU. So there you have it. There's all of the matchups for the 2024 season. They will announce game dates later in the year. But first, we have to get through the 2023 season, and I have preseason quick pick videos made for all 14 of the current Southeastern Conference teams. So make sure and check those out. And if you like the content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video on SEC Football Forecast.